So here we have what I think is extremely important. Of course, you'll hear me say that often because I think an awful lot of things are important. I want to know where the eyelid covers the eye and hides it from us. So I want to make sure that I don't run this up, never take in consideration where it disappears under the eyelid. Most of the time, or often, people will come in here and they'll go all the way up to the top, never even take into consideration that the bottom edge of the eyelid is much lower. And so they end up with something that just does not look right. And it really is hard to figure out if you're not used to looking at it. So I'm going to come in here and now put some value in here. But I'm going to start at the top, create my clean edge, and drop down a shadow, whether I see it or not. And that's some of the liberties that I take. Flash destroys shadows underneath of things because it shines light into places it normally would not go. When you have a light shining right directly at a person, it's going to fill in all kinds of things. The neck's going to become too light, and you'll remember these things as I tell you. It's going to take away subtle little shadows from underneath, in between lips, in nostrils. It's going to shine things up inside the nostrils that we don't want to see. We don't need to see that. It's not effective at all. And this helps us with our dimension and just gives us a natural warm feeling. In my experience, it just always adds a very human element to it. And it sets the tone again for how I'm going to think about my other shadows. And it helps me deal with situations where there are places where they're maybe too bright. Because if I have this shading down from this darker place, the rules of light, it gets darker when there's less light, so naturally it'd be darkest underneath, then that's going to help me come in here and treat this exactly the same way. I'm going to be able to drop down and gradually fade it away. I don't care how wide the place is, even if it's a little tiny bit, even if it's just this, I still want to be able to show that there is a dedicated shadow edge. You remember what I've said, practice to see if you can even take 2 or 3 or 4 lines and show the edge that's clean and show a gradation coming off of it, even in a small place. The better you are at that, I think you'll have far more success at drawing your subjects. I'm going to go ahead now and make sure, and maybe I should have done that before, but I'm going to change a little bit. I find that when I'm drawing eyes, that I don't like them to be cutting edge. I feel that the edge of the iris is quite soft, and yet I want some, it to be specific. And I want to take into consideration the little turn at the top. As it goes up, it isn't straight anymore. It's kind of going back this way. And so I want to capture that last little part. If I turn this, if I'm careless and I turn this back that way too far, then I'm going to end up changing the shape of the iris. And fortunately, this is going to be one of the good examples because we have a person looking directly at us.